make decisions.
Do you know what, Dave? I think if Florian Wirtz and Frimpong came good, you could almost get away from the fact that maybe Isak ain't been that great and maybe the left back Kirkes ain't been that great. But the fact that none of them have been that great, that's the problem.
And I wanted to ask you guys about that because I'm all for giving. I think people should be given time. But when you look, for instance, at Wirtz, I mean, Isak's been injured. He's just come back, didn't come off the bench at all at the weekend. I mean, their lack of performance has been quite profound considering the transfers. And we saw what was said about Grealish. We've all saw what happened to Paul Pogba. We've seen what happened to Lukaku. Yeah. I mean, you've seen the media attention Gyökeres has got with 6 goals. We've seen the vile
Anthony
attacks
had a
on
better start than this.
Yeah, we've seen the vile attacks from Man United fans on Šeško, and he's got at least 2 goals. Why do you guys think? Why do you guys think that the Isaks of this world and the Wirtzes are being given such an easy ride from the mainstream? Rivals are going in, of course, but the media still seem to. I mean, it was the media that said Isak needs time to adapt to the league at Liverpool. I mean, they don't give players from outside the league time to adapt.
They're media darlings, though, aren't they, Tel? They always have been. Well, that's my personal thing. They always have been media darlings. You know, they get that little. And to be fair, you know, a lot of it they might have earned. Do you know what I mean? Over the years, they've had some magnificent sides, especially obviously, you know what I mean, in the 80s. But you know, they've always been. I've always sort of been that way anyway. I'm open to debate for that, but they've always just had that extra little bit of favoritism in the media, and that's what it is. They're held to a little bit different of account to a lot of other teams.
Yeah,
that's just my little take.
I agree with you, Aaron, mate, wholeheartedly, for sure.
I just don't think they're as big as they think. That's the truth. They can win another league title. They could win more Champions Leagues. They still wouldn't get the attention that Man United get. They still wouldn't get the pressure that Man United players get. I don't know when that would change. I think Man United would need to be terrible for another 10 years, maybe. But they're just not as big as Man United, even now. That's the truth. And that's why those players can have a day off. Like I said, Anthony had a better start than most of these geezers.
I hear that. LB, rest of the panel. I want to speak about their 2 big signings. Gut feeling on Wirtz. Give him time by all means. What's your gut telling you? Do you think he's going to be a Prem player, or are you thinking, nah?
Yeah, so I think at the moment he's massively underperforming. And I know one of the reasons you can tell he's massively underperforming is because some Liverpool fans are glazing some of the most average things I've ever seen in my life. And the media are creating fake statistics, that we've never seen before for this player, like runs into the box and stuff like that, So I think the guy's massively not performing to the levels that he is doing. I think he will come good, personally. I think Wirtz will come good. I think it'll take time. I said this at the time, right? But I do think he would have been better at City with Haaland. And I'm not just saying that to like try and wind people up. I genuinely believe that he was a perfect fit for City. But obviously he chose Liverpool. So
most players would be though, wouldn't they?
Well, no. That's not true.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
most players. I don't think so.
You give players like that, give them Haaland. Haaland's the best striker in the world on the planet.
Yeah, but certain players might thrive in a different style of play. So you might be a mint defender, but can't kick a ball out the back. You're not going to be good at City, are you? So that's fake news. But no, I do think
attacking wise though, a player of his
okay,
style.
I'm not really that bothered about that conversation, but I just that's my opinion, isn't it? That he would have been better at City. I do think he'll come good. My one, and this is not reactionary. I said this at the time. Yeah, I don't think they should have bought I don't think they should have bought Isak. I said it at the time. It wasn't reactionary. It's not a reactionary take. I said it before they bought him, and Liverpool fans were just saying to me, "Oh, you just don't want us to get Isak because you're scared." I said, "No, I ain't scared."
TKO is looking good.
I think for me, they would have been better.
Even him though, he's got 3 goals. Gyökeres has got 4, but so he gets a pass as well. Everyone says he's looking good.
Who? Ekitike.
He's got 3.
I'm sure he's got more than that.
Is it 4? He's got 3 or 4, and that's it.
But I think the thing is with Ekitike as well is you bought Gyökeres, bro, to be the here and now guy. Yeah, he's 27 years old. Ekitike is younger. He's meant to be their developing players. Isak's meant to take. Isak's there here, So I think Ekitike is. I thought it was shit against City, but I think he's doing an okay job. For me, I think they would have been better off putting that money on. It don't matter if Isak's played. It's not about if he's played or not. I'm talking about have they spent the money correctly. In my opinion, I think they would have been better off buying another centre half, Yeah, and maybe investing that money elsewhere. And by the way, yeah, Salah, yeah, I think he's leaving at the end of the season, mate. Because that last 15 minutes, he did not look interested. Yeah, how many times was he offside? He was offside so many times at the end of that game. He just could not be bothered one little bit. So I think he's probably gone. But for me, I think it's more disappointing that Kirkes is. If I was a Liverpool fan, I'd be looking at Kirkes. I'm thinking you should be an easy fit into this team. You're a left back who likes getting forward, whipping in crosses, which is what Andy Robertson used to be good at. And they're having to play Andy Robertson, who's 34, because Kirkes is shocking. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. I think people are doing a little bit too much, right? And I could go on and cook them so much, yeah, because obviously I got a lot of stick on the Wirtz thing. But Wirtz is massively underperformed. I do think he'll come good. The main one for me is Isak. I don't think they should have bought Isak.
The problem is obviously with that is when you buy a blockbuster number 10 that probably everyone in the world would have liked at the time, you know, your expectations as well as the transfer fee, as well as everything that comes with a player, you expect him to come good. And Liverpool might be a different side if he'd have come good. Do you know what I mean? It's just at the minute it ain't. It just hasn't really worked out. And, you know, whilst granted, Liverpool are defending champions, they've got a few aging players, maybe they're in a transition period, blah, 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 blah. At the end of the day, when you make them signings, sometimes you just haven't got time to wait for them to work. And granted, that doesn't discount from the fact that sometimes players do need different levels of time to come into a team or a league and suit it. However, that also doesn't deter from the fact that you can go around the other side of it and say, look, okay, yeah, granted, you might need some time, but come on, Florian, you kind of need to get up to gear now. We're not in a good moment, Florian. We paid a lot of money for you, Florian. Time to start fucking performing, Florian. Do you know what I mean? It's not a bad player, but at the same side, you've got to kind of pull the finger out at one stage. And if it is a little bit of lightweight, what did Modric do? Do you know what I mean? He found a way. If you're a world-class player, you're $100+ million player, find a way sooner rather than later.
At the same time, though, yeah, bro. Let me ask you. I mean, just coming on that point, right? Because I agree with what you're saying. I think I just said it myself that Wirtz needs to improve in that. Yeah, but like, what about the other players that have been there and done it? What about Gravenberch? What about McAllister? What about Van Dijk?
Gravenberch took about a year, didn't he, to be?
No, I'm talking about now. I'm talking about you've got a player here in Wirtz who I agree needs to improve.
Yeah.
Why is your Salah not performing? Why are McAllister not performing?
Can I just jump? Go on, Dave. No, go on.
I think it's back to the point we made. 5 new starters, LB. It just takes time to understand each other. That is literally it.
Yeah, but there's
Wirtz. If he wants to improve, he needs to hire me. You know, he needs to do some back squats, do some bench press. He needs to put on a bit of
shameless plug. David speaks football.
Yeah.
Shameless plug.
Do you know what? Though? Look, I kind of get that. At the same time, though, I'm just not about letting football players off the fucking hook. I'm not about letting them off the hook in the sense of. There's individual battles that I watched on Sunday, players lose, that I don't think matter about the system. I said the same in the Man United game. When Bruno's got Maz on the right, a simple pass, so we can cross the ball in to free Mbumo in the middle, him choosing to go on the inside is a mistake I'm going to criticize. I'm not blaming formation, training, coaching, motivational speeches, how he made Bruno feel in the morning meeting. Couldn't give a monkeys about any of that shit. When Cunha goes to the left of me, it's free. Behind me, I can lay the ball off and make a run in behind, or to the right of me is 3 Tottenham players. If he chooses to try and dribble for those 3 players and lose it, I'm not turning around and going, fuck you, Amarin. I'm going to keep the same energy for Liverpool in exactly the same way. When I'm seeing Conor Bradley get cooked, and by the way, one of the biggest reasons he got cooked, Gary Neville called it out. And don't let Gary Neville fool you in one thing in his punditry when he plays down how good he was. He was also not quick. So he knows exactly how to stop skillful, quick wingers. And he said it absolutely right. You actually stand off them a little bit and make them do the guessing. When you rush in on someone like Doku every time to get him, he knocks the ball past you, great center of gravity, and goes. He lost all those duels. That isn't because Wirtz only joined in the summer. That isn't because Trent actually used to get cooked more than him, to be honest with you. That isn't because Trent isn't there. That's an individual battle. Van Dijk's positioning this year and his general defensive play, I don't think that's because there's all of it isn't down to new players. City won 70% of the duels. So that's where the players are in the right place and they're contesting for the ball. 70% of them were won by City. That's individuals delivering on the day as well. And I do agree with you, LB. I think there is an element of I'm critical of their new signings, but there's a lot of other existing players, players like Van Dijk, who are, some say, greatest centre-back of all time. For me, there has to be an element of criticism that goes into that. There has to be. Individuals need to be criticised as well.
Last year, when everyone was saying, "Oh, Liverpool have come out of nowhere," I said they've not come out of nowhere, and I said they've got 4 world-class players: Alisson, Trent, Van Dijk, and Salah. Right, and they lost one in Trent, and Alisson is now injured. But the 2 leaders of that team are Van Dijk and Salah. And if your 2 main guys, the 2 leaders you look to, everyone in that defense looks to Van Dijk, and everyone in the higher part of the pitch looks to Salah. And when them 2 are not performing, it's very hard for the other players, I think, to bail them out and perform. When you're looking at your best players not performing, Van Dijk is obviously trying to. You see Van Dijk getting very frustrated now with some of the other Liverpool players, and I think when they look over, you look over at the guy you're supposed to look up to, the guy who's supposed to lead you, and he's not performing. You've got Salah sulking, looking like he's not interested. I think that has a detrimental effect on the other players and even the manager, because the manager's got he has big decisions to make now with Salah. Does he play him? Because right now it looks like they're playing with a man less with Salah, and obviously the thing is he's one of the greatest players of all times. So it's a very difficult situation because some Liverpool fans are going to win him to start.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And I think on top of that, when he's one-on-one with O'Reilly, I don't. And I actually agree with some of what you've said there, Dave. A lot of players leave, a lot of players come in. It impacts you. But when he's one-on-one with a fullback, in that moment, that isn't impacting him. That's him versus that individual. And look, Man United, I'll give you an example. You're someone that's very critical of how United play, and you put a lot of that on the system. That system hasn't stopped Mbeumo being good. So individuals can still perform in a bad system if they're, 1, good enough, and 2, if they're working hard enough, and if they're in the right form. We've seen that for many. Bruno, that you call a United legend, invariably moved into central midfield. We had some stinky teams where Bruno was still one of the highest goal scoring and highest creating midfield players in Europe. I think sometimes we don't like to call our players out when they're individually poor, or sometimes we don't like to call out signings or players when they're just not good enough. At the end of the day, you have to call a spade sometimes. And I think Liverpool overall, experienced players haven't delivered. New signings ain't ready yet. And I do think the manager has made changes to their system that he didn't need to make. You add all those things together with losing some stars. It's hindsight's 2020 vision. Now looking back at it and looking at all those things, I'm like, yeah, it's actually quite a bad way.
Yeah. I don't know which game.
They've got a lovely run of fixtures, though.
A
lovely run of fixtures.
That's what I'm saying. When people say they're out the title race, well, I'm going to minute. Yeah, we've got Newcastle away next. We could easily lose that. I think Arsenal have got Spurs, right? They could lose that.
Followed by Chelsea
away.
But it's the vibe there, though. It is the vibe there.
The thing is, it's because they're chasing 2 as well, 2 teams. But had Arsenal beat Sunderland, they were 10 behind. I would have counted them out of it. Because it's only 8, there is a small chance. But the thing is, they've got to not just chase Arsenal, they've got to chase City as well. So, Arsenal might drop points, City might drop points.
I would say on that just quickly. I'd say on that, if it was Manchester City 8 points ahead instead of or 6, whatever it is, instead of Arsenal, I would definitely have counted Liverpool out purely for the know-how.
There's no way I'm saying they're out in November. I tell you what, one last point, on this one from me. I'm going to rob this from rob it from Rob in the chat. Yeah, I think there's also a point. Yeah, that it probably just got a little bit overhyped from last year as well. And this ain't taking nothing away from them. They won the league. They were the best team in the country, right? But fundamentally, City fell off massively and Arsenal weren't at the levels. So they coasted to the league. Yeah. And again, not taking anything away. They were the best team. They won the league. You still get the trophy. But I don't think last year they was quite as good as maybe some people overhyped them. And then this year, they've obviously had a decline. And compound that with everything else, this is where you're at.
To be fair to them, and it's an awkward subject to talk about, they did lose a starting, bench player came on, but Jota dying was a big deal. It's a massive deal. It's going to have some sort of effect.
But Dave, I said that. I said that, and you said when we spoke about this, and you said you think it would spur them on. But I thought maybe not.
If Liverpool were off, sorry, just quickly, Travis, if Liverpool are that good, how come we got knocked out in the quarterfinals of the Champions League, bro? How come you only won one trophy if you're that good? If you're that good, why don't you win multiple trophies? Why don't you get to semi-final or final?
Yeah, but this is the problem with what I think with Liverpool.
It's not taking anything away just because you get butthurt about it, yeah, because it's true. You know it's true, but you still won the league. I ain't saying nothing.
They were the best team in England by far. Last year.
Yeah, of course they were. I agree with that.
Yeah.
They were 100% the best team in England. But the point is, yeah, like that team last year was, if you compared that to like other Premier League titles winning teams, I don't think it was very good. You still got the job done, and people think like he's taken away from it. I'm just saying that like you were probably going to have a natural decline anyway, because Arsenal and City were never going to be as bad as they were last year. Right, combine that with the fact that you're having a few troubles integrating new players in. This is the result.
LB, they've conceded 17 goals, mate, in the Premier League, yeah, and it's down to the defence, obviously, but it's massively down. Why I don't think 17. I think in the league. Wow. Well, this is why I don't think they'll win the league. You can't be leaky like that. I'm sorry. You don't have to have the best defense in the world to win the Premier League, but you can't have a bad defense like that. And this is why I sort of think it is. Granted, on both wings, on both wing backs, you've got two new players who haven't quite settled in yet. One of them you're losing, who's one of your benchmark right backs. And you've got Van Dijk, who clearly ain't up to it. Now, I've always sort of said as a centre-backs, you get partnerships, and I've always said it like this. You get a number one centre-back and a number two centre-back. Very rarely do you get two number ones, like what I always thought of a Rio Ferdinand and a Vidic were. Two number one centre-backs playing next to each other, invincible, excellent partnership. A Tony Adams and a Campbell, if they'd have played in their pomp, unbelievable. But obviously Liverpool haven't had that. They've had Van Dijk, who's a number one centre-back without shadow of a doubt. But in his pomp, he makes whoever plays next to him a level up. And he also then gives that bit more security to his right back. So all of a sudden now, you're seeing a Liverpool who've got two different new right and left backs. And then you've got a Van Dijk who ain't quite number one in really anymore. He's not saying he's crap, but he's not quite got that stardust that he did have. And that's making his partner not as good as an invincible Van Dijk was. So you're seeing, coupled with a bit of an Alisson injury, you're seeing a very, very, very vulnerable Liverpool defence. And over 38 games, whether people like what I'm going to say or not, that is not sustainable to lift silverware.
I hear you on that. What I will say as well, statistically speaking, it's the fourth worst start to the title defence at this stage of the season ever. Only Blackburn, Leicester.
Man United up there?
United, not after 11 games. You have more points than this. I think. I something somebody shared. I haven't checked it all myself. United's actually, after we did our three-peat and won our treble, so in like 01-02 when you won the league, we had 18 points after 11 games. We recovered from that point. They would end up coming third. I think we finished like 8 points off the top from that stage. So things can turn around from that level, but. I think United had scored nearly 30 goals at that point. We were a bit leaky at the back. That being said, that was off the back of a three-peat, a treble, and everything else. Like, this is one league title win. To drop off to this degree, I think it's frustrating for Liverpool fans, because when you go back to the conversations in the summer, I thought they were going to do it. So I'm not saying that they were silly to think it. I felt the same. I thought they were looking at a team that could give them a dynasty. Because I look at, in English football, I only think there's three clubs that have ever had what I call a dynasty team. Liverpool did it in the 70s and 80s. United did it in the 90s and noughties, and we've just witnessed City do it. They're the only three dynasty teams that have ever existed. And I'm talking teams that dominate for the better part of a decade, dominate Europe at the same time. Teams that I would consider some of the greatest to ever grace Europe. We've had some amazing teams that have won leagues and won FA Cups and Champions Leagues, but dominate domestically and be a powerhouse for the better part of a decade in Europe. I think we've had only three clubs that have done that. And I think Liverpool are trying to repeat that feat, and that's fair. That's what they should be aiming to repeat. You're champions of England. It's amazing what they're winning, but you've always got to try and surpass your own club's previous achievements. And I'm sure Arsenal fans would love to do another Invincibles, but this time doubled up in a season where you win the Champions League, because you always want to better. I love the fact we've done a treble. I want to do another treble. I want to do a fucking quadruple. We've got them all. So I think that's what Liverpool were aiming for, and it just so far hasn't quite worked. That being said, I wouldn't completely write them off. I wouldn't write Arne Slot off. Maybe this season it goes off the boil. Doesn't mean you can't recover, start playing better this season, and then next year you're ready and you're raring to go. And I think sometimes this knee-jerk reaction just to sack someone isn't necessarily right either. To see what happens. But look, we'll see. In terms of the title race, actually, just do a few super chats first. Mathematically, Liverpool are not out. Mentally, 100% is what Garrett says here. It's fair. This year says